Hi, Stoyan. How are you?
Very good. I'm feeling fantastic being here with you on this podcast.
Thank you for joining me. I'm super excited about this conversation. We just met something like a month ago, right? Month and
That's
a half.
right. Yes, and it was very hot in Tel
It
Aviv.
was very hot outside. Yeah, it was actually too. It was your first time in Israel.
Yes, I wasn't
Congratulations.
prepared, but I think I started carrying three or four pieces of t-shirts every time I'm walking in the summer now because it's really, really hot. So
It is. It is. Summertime in Israel is always super hot. So thank you for joining me. I'm eager to discover what you do and share with the community. Um, this is one of the first times actually that I have a guest like you as an entrepreneur talking about productivity, performance, entrepreneurship, and leadership. So first of all, please tell us a bit more about yourself. Who are you?
yeah, first of all, thank you so much. It's an honor being on this fantastic podcast. What a beautiful message, and hopefully I can also give a different kind of perspective among the other guests. So, who am I? Well, what a question. I was born in the beautiful country of Bulgaria, and I love my country. If you haven't been there, you should go visit. But I also wanted to explore the world. So when I was a student doing my bachelor degree in Bulgaria, I decided I'm going to go to the US, spend a couple of summers, work, travel, see places, expand my horizons. And immediately after graduating, I moved to Denmark to do my master degree in finance because I wanted to be a Wall Street banker. I would watch all these Wall Street movies and being excited about making it into the world of finance. And during my studies, I realized my biggest passion at the time was actually making movies, producing
Wow.
videos, organizing film festivals. So being in the movie industry was my passion, and I did my master thesis on researching the financial models in the motion picture industry. So I got into the movie sector as a producer, as a business guy, being there, started my own company, video production company in the sector. And the biggest passion of mine, what I'm doing today, is working with people
Yeah.
and empowering culture of productivity and care. I'm going to talk about that. For the past 6, 7 years now, I've been um, traveling, working with different organizations, working with individuals, and my passion is productivity. My passion is bringing people together. My passion is empowering leaders to build productive and caring cultures.
Wow. Congratulations. What a journey. Oh my goodness.
Definitely,
How was it during the pandemic?
it was interesting. you
Indeed.
know, Pandemic
I
happened,
can
and
tell.
just like many of us, I had to just stay at home and just
Mm.
reflect. And all my speaking gigs, all my consulting gigs were gone or on hold. So, and we're going to talk about that later as well,
Yeah, of
because we're
course.
doing a podcast swap. But um,
Indeed.
for me, it's always about uh, let's look into the opportunities. What is out
Mm.
there? Okay, I'm sitting at home. I have a lot of time. What can I do? That's how I started the podcast. That was
Yeah.
also um, a good drive and
Yeah.
motivation to finish the book, right? Like, thank you, pandemic, for the opportunity to actually complete and finish the book. Because before that, well, me and my co-author, we're gonna travel. We're gonna always be, working with clients. He's running an acceleration
Mm.
program. Now that we have more space, more time, we could actually focus on
Yeah. Yeah.
seeking the opportunities.
Right. Right. Tell us a bit about the book, Perform. What is it all about?
So Perform was created out of necessity. It's
Mm.
based around a methodology, the Perform methodology, and it's just a simple way, a bird eye view on your company in terms of culture and performance.
Right.
And so my co-author, he's the CEO of startup Wise Guys, It's the leading acceleration program in Europe for startups, early stage startups. I've been working with him for a number of years, and we found out there's a lack of structured knowledge and methods for companies, specifically in this region, and there's lack of understanding the importance of culture and the importance of building a productive team. And many of the examples would come from the US, right? Amazon did this, Spotify did this. Yeah, what about the neighbor from Romania? What about the guy from Latvia? I want to know what these guys do. They're in a different environment. They get funding differently. Okay, what do they do in order to win and to succeed? So we build a methodology. It's very simple. It's based around these 7 areas we identified, which are core for building a great culture in the long run. Sustainable culture. P, from perform, stands for purpose and values. E, effective planning. R, roles and responsibilities. F, focus and execution. O, optimal energy. R, the second R, robust communication. And M is mental toughness. So we built around a methodology. We went out there, we found the best, most practical tools, strategies that accomplished leaders, people who've already built great companies are using in these areas. And we started teaching them now in over 35 countries, more than 400 companies going through our boot camps. So it's been a blessing being able to share the story and to spread this message.
Wild. Wow. I'm working on sustainability, and you mentioned the sustainable culture. And when it comes, to leadership, of course, and particularly now during uncertain times, in crisis and political uncertainty, it is important, for leaders and founders and startups to think in a way that is long-term. And not everyone can follow, the model of Amazon or Google or, although all these started, from small steps. But, it's right to say that don't look out for the big ones, just look out to your neighbor. What do you think is the combination of a success story when it comes to build a sustainable culture? How do you see, because you explained this so well in the book, and just to get the process, a picture of the process.
I love that you emphasized on the word long-term, and this is kind of prerequisite for everybody who wants to build a sustainably successful company. You can build a successful company for a while, and might be even for a few years, but if you want it to be sustainable, you got to think long-term in everything you do. If I have to summarize the book with one word, it's going to be consistency.
Indeed.
Consistency on the things that matter most, the things that we don't want to do as leaders. And it's not one size fits all. You have to figure out where you are, what is the stage of the company, what are the kind of things that you need, but you just need to make it a must to, as a leader, if I'm to build a sustainable company, what are the kind of the core areas? What are the core things that I need to emphasize on a consistent basis so we can actually build such a culture? Because when you build a culture and when people buy into it and when they live it, then you have a shot to actually build something meaningful in the long run.
Right. This is so accurate. We've been sharing about the different types of culture. And whatever is happening, all around the world right now, and why it is so important right now to build a company, and why it is the best time actually to start something, is because in the middle of a struggle or in the middle of many, many challenges as we have, we need innovation. And in the cultural aspects and how we approach things, and we spoke about that for a while, on LinkedIn, over the past few weeks, asking questions, to people about how they feel, what they see, what they envision for the near future and for the long term. We do need, sustainable processes and resilience. But I think that as in the book, you mentioned a lot about creativity. Creativity is born by essence in the middle of uncertainty. even if it's internal or, outside in the environment. And would you like, just to explore a bit this aspect that is so important?
Yeah, I can relate to what you just said. I mean, creativity is born in some ways in chaos. And
It is.
For creativity to happen, and I've been in the creative field, I've been working with many creative people, I interviewed many people in the creative industries.
Yeah.
Usually creativity is born when you do things that are different than what you are about to solve, or when you experience things that are different than the things that your problem ahead of you, right? So but you have to create space for creativity to happen, because it's
Right.
not like
Right.
the production process, like you got to put this particle exactly, the step by step. No, creativity needs space. And that means if you are a writer, if you're a copywriter, you can have the exact same process. Maybe you write this beautiful piece about startups. Well, maybe you want to listen to a podcast about hip hop. Or maybe you want to go for a walk and listen to and watch birds and feed them. Like creativity happens when you do different things, and somehow your neurons connect, and you come up with a solution. So for me, it's always a combination. And maybe I can quote actually an author in the field, Natalie Nixon, who wrote the book called The Creativity Leap. And she says creativity happens in the toggle between rigor and wonder.
Indeed.
Right?
Wow.
So you need to have structure, you need to have
Yeah.
objectives, you need to know what the client needs or what your outcome is. You need to create a plan, very effective plan. But within this plan, within these boxes, you have to allow for spaces of wonder that are unplanned. You don't know what's going to happen, that you might do something crazy that wasn't expected. And then you actually a lot more productive. Here's where productivity comes in as well.
Yeah. Wow. Absolutely. And thank you for sharing this, because in a very basic exchange, when you're in a conversation, and we created actually a framework that's called the Framework for Sustainability Conversations. And I figured that to initiate conversations and to initiate creativity in between people, because creativity, as we mentioned, is being created, in the middle of the chaos, but also when you start talking with people and ideation and all the process ongoing. And I think that we need those very basic fundamentals aspects of human interaction to make things happen. Because innovation can be everywhere. Sustainable innovation can be here, nearby, or something that's very simple for the long term. And I was thinking about, two things. When you mentioned the fact that to produce better, you need, a whole environment, and to find the balance. And somehow, and this is something also that I took out from your TEDx, there is somehow an approach that we need to encounter, that is an external approach as human being, because we're all, after all, in terms of human being, we have all the same base at the beginning. And I truly believe, in diversity and, in growth and capacity of everyone. If we bring knowledge, and if we bring enough ingredients into the recipe, so we can become, very successful as everyone else. But the fact that you need a team as to perform, because if you perform alone, it's not the same way as if you perform as a team. My point here is to explain to the audience that if you want to build a sustainable company, you need a team. You cannot do that alone. And that's why, I'm trying to get back to how we connect, how we collaborate, how we exchange, and how we share conversations in order in a very leading point, leading way and leaning way to become successful. And what is success for you?
Okay.
So you have
Any
three
questions
questions.
here? So let me start from the beginning.
Yeah.
I I think you can build something sustainable by yourself. If it's like if you're a consultant, if you are a coach, you probably, you know, have good pricing, good product, and uh, but you're limited in terms of how much you can grow, right? You only
Right.
have.
You're alone.
I worked with one of the best in the world when it comes to performance coaching for traders. He doesn't have a team. He's by himself. He doesn't want to. He's charging quite a bit of money, right?
Mm.
But he only have this number of hours per week, right? If you want to build something meaningful, if you want to scale, if you want to build a real business, then you need a team. Not only you need a team, you need a team of people who are on the same page like you. And I want to quote here somebody I had on my podcast, Productivity Mastery. By the way, so much looking forward to having you on the podcast. But his name is Shane Herbert. He's a director of photography. Some of the greatest Hollywood movies, um, like Need for Speed, Terminator, Game of Thrones. Like he's the key cinematographer.
Yeah.
And ask him about leadership, and what he said was very interesting, even though it comes from a different industry. He said, my biggest challenge as a leader is to make sure everybody is making the same movie. Every person from
Interesting.
the light people, the grip, the everybody from the team is focused, and we're making the same movie. And I think this is the core of every team. Are we all making the same movie? And I'm going to get back to the letters of the book, of the methodology, purpose and values. Many startup founders, they will start talking about these topics when it's about time to scale. Like, oh, we have 20 people, we're getting the next funding round. Let's talk about culture. No, that's too late. Everybody we asked, when should we focus on culture, gave us one or two answers. You should do it at day one, or I wish we did it at day one. And what does it mean? It doesn't mean you have to come up with the whole, 20 pages book with all the values and everything structured. No, but you need to start having these conversations from day one. Where are we going as a company? What do we want to build? What is the kind of why, the mission? Coming to sustainability and cause. Like, what is the cause we want to solve? Okay, we have this product, but why? Why does it matter? Because when you have a strong why, you can get exceptional people to join you on the journey as partners, employees, attract investors. Investors want to see you fired. You're really passionate about what you're building, right? That's how they believe in it. That's how you get people emotionally. So, but also the practical side of it, like, what are our values? How do we do things? What is important? What do we value? What is important for us? Maybe we know it in our heads, me and my co-founder. What about the rest of the team? How do they know that they fit in our company? They might be fantastic people. I had fantastic people part of my team, but they would not be fully aligned with what we do and the way we do it. I recommend it to anybody, but they're not a fit for my team, right? So the culture, defining the culture, defining who are the kind of people we want to attract. What are their features? What are their strengths and skills that we feature and value most? What do they stand for? Are they late for meetings? Is that a bad thing? And setting expectations. Where do we want to be? What is our vision? If everything goes by plan, and this is also for companies in sustainability and in impact, which there's so much purpose in these companies, but then again, we also want to put the structure. What is the vision concretely, measurably? What are the goals that are structured around it? What methodology going into the effective planning? How do we set goals? Like, what is the operational system we're using? How often do we have discussions with each other, strategy sessions, where we come together and we are like, okay, guys, let's measure the previous period, the previous 3 months or 1 month, and try and see what did we achieve, what did we fail to achieve, Is there something we need to change in the way we delegate goals, or the method that we use? Maybe we were too ambitious with the goals, or maybe we were not ambitious enough and now we just hit the goals, but it's not enough. Like, where are we? And again, it's about consistency. It's not
This,
this is the magic pill. We get this magic tool. It's not about the tool, it's about using it.
I mean, I thank you. I'm blessed, and thank you. It's Stoyan, you nailed it, because I'm listening to you, and we've created the framework, but we've also created a canvas. It's called the sustainability canvas, and everything that you mentioned here, without knowing, is describing in a perfect way. And thank you again for this. How we think a sustainable company should be. It's about purpose. It's about the mission. It's about the validation of the processes. It's also about the goals, the milestones, the achievements. What have you done, a month ago? Where are you going? What's the focus? Who are the people that are more capable to do specific things? How do we engineer things? What's the data sheet, etc. So thank you for this. Wow, that's excellent. We're running out of time, but I'm gonna add 5 minutes, 5 little minutes for just what's the next step? Tell us.
The next step. So first of all, there's many next steps right now. I'm excited about all the things we do. We're growing the podcast. We are traveling. I think I'll be traveling the next 10 weeks, in every week in a different country, teaching the message of Perform, working with startups, working with corporates on culture. But you are one of the few people that knows, we also started a new project, which is the sequel of Perform, the unsexy truth about startup success, with the working title Perform in Times of a Crisis. It's been a few very challenging years, but what's ahead of us, according to many, people from the market, leaders and so on, and maybe you guys in Israel already kind of feeling it more than us here in Europe, because things go faster there, is the upcoming
not for the better always, but it's fine. It's all good.
Yeah, so the upcoming global recession, but even if it's not the global recession, this constantly being crisis, and the way we act as leaders in times of crisis is a little bit different. And some people are really good leaders in smooth waters, but what about leading in times of adversity? So that's what we are going into, and I'm myself also going to be an explorer, because I want to learn. So we're going to do interviews with some of the most inspiring, accomplished leaders worldwide, trying to figure out what do these people do in times of a crisis, put it together into a framework, methodology, and hopefully provide people with a practical toolkit how to get ready to face the next crisis.
This is awesome. Thank you so much, Stoyan. One last word to encourage people to get into performance and sustainability.
I mean, look, guys, it's very kind of an old example. I think in the 60s, John Kennedy came up with this interpretation of the Chinese word for crisis. And I don't know Chinese, so I don't know if that's right or wrong, but I love the metaphor. He said that the Chinese word for crisis is composed of 2 words. The first one means danger. The second one means opportunity. In any difficult moment, there's dangers, and we need to be very cautious. We need to be very careful to mitigate the risks. So identify the potential dangers, do our risk management, but at the same time, look beyond, look for opportunities. In any crisis, there's plenty of opportunities out there. What can you do that's different than you do, right? Like, what are the kind of markets? What are the people that we actually need help? How can I get closer to my clients and actually provide them with more value than anybody else? Maybe they cannot pay me in that time, And maybe I'm going to finish with a quote that I heard this at the beginning of the pandemic, and it stuck with me, is by Jason Calacanis. He's an investor. I think he's leading this Startups Daily. Maybe I messed it up, like this
something like that.
And he said, fortunes are built in the down market and collected in the up market.
Right.
So let that stick with you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate. And looking forward for another episode together. Thank you, Stoyan.
Yeah, I look forward to swap chairs now and to have you as a guest of my podcast. So guys, go check out Productivity Mastery. She's going to be fantastic. I know that. Thanks once again for listening. And I hope to meet some of you somewhere. Drop me a line on LinkedIn and let's perform.
Yeah. Wow.